Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back. And I got to tell you guys, Rama is here too.
Hello, boys and girls. Always be good out there. Always be good.
And watch out for your ballies. Yes.
Yes, play bally every day.
That's really Rama's number one message. Playing ball nonstop, morning, noon, and night leads to a happy, healthy person.
Yes, it does. It really does. Yep.
So there's so much going on as far as disclosure. It's been a long, drawn-out process for many people that wish that they would just come out and tell us the truth, which, of course, if it doesn't serve the control system's purpose, they're not going to give it to us straight. And then you have a lot of people going the opposite extreme. Even, again, people going back to ideas that were there in the darkest of dark ages, that, we're all alone, that you can't leave the earth, it's impossible. There's no other life out there. And, of course, the thought that the concept that the earth is a pancake, you have that other side of it going on. And then, of course, we have also all these different, you could think of them as sleeper cells that are situated in different places in the disclosure process. In other words, you do have controlled opposition going on at the same time that will give us some truths on some things, but then go and give us a big part of the control system's narrative. So what are we to believe? Well, again, I always kind of go back to that. Look to the Hermetic principles for those that are more familiar with things that are of the Western mind. You can definitely go into the Hindu books and see clearly, because, they state clearly that there's all sorts of life on different dimensions as well as on different planets, because there's just an innumerable amount of planets out there. There are many, many solar systems. The Earth and our sun is just really typical. And you have a lot of that going on right now because they can't control everything being hidden from us anymore. We're not in the dark age anymore, so they're going to have to give us more and more of the truth, but they're going to tell it with their side of the story. It's again, the dog ate my homework. Well, the dog didn't eat the homework got destroyed. Well, what happened really? Well, I left it on the kitchen table. It got knocked over, stepped on, chewed up, whatever. So this is K2 18b, a potentially habitable planet covered with oceans about 2.5 times the size of Earth. They say they have detected carbon dioxide and methane. Carbon dioxide and methane typically means life. So this is a big 2.5 times the size of Earth planet that may be very similar, in fact, to what Earth was as Tiamat. Before Tiamat, and some call it Maldek. Again, there's a lot of beings out there. So a lot of the information that we get, obviously, we get it from channeling, and then also direct conversation through our guides, which is still a form of channeling. It is different when the being is on, say, 4D, like the information that we would get from our star child that died here thousands of years ago on this property. And, she's in 4D, so she probably passed on as the Silver Age, the old Silver Age, was turning to the Bronze, and things were getting tougher. And yet here she is. She hasn't left. She hasn't reincarnated. She hasn't gone off to the home world of her planet, her family, where her parents came from, because they were migrants, immigrants coming to Earth. And some people will say, well, you guys are just crazy loons. But yet there are so many people that have been doing this, and more people are doing the channeling all the time. More people are remembering and coming totally online than ever before. And it is resonating with so many people out there. It's like we are a species. One of my first videos I ever did when I did the channel, it might be in the top 2 or 3 I ever did, was, we are a species with amnesia. And it's true. For the most part, humans don't remember what's happened to them. When you look at this, and the more this sits with me, the more it really sits with me. They're giving you, it's not just that this is, one of those Kepler planets that they've discovered. In so many ways, this is really kind of like, big flashing neon lights. Tiamat was like this. Tiamat was like this. You think about those mountains that were beings, whether they were more dinosaur-like or humanoid. If the Earth was so much bigger, it would make all the sense in the world. And why do we find things that are billions of years old in strata that doesn't make sense? Because, they're in Texas. In Texas, there are footprints of humanoid beings right next to dinosaurs in the same layer. Why? It's because, again, the Earth is a recreation. Who put the Earth together? Well, the Galactic Federation, and a lot of people want to just kind of walk away from the whole concept of the Galactic Federation because there's so many people that have come out with it. And I've seen comments, Galactic Federation is the CIA psyop. The CIA didn't exist when the Galactic Federation did. And in fact, Earth is only here now because of the Galactic Federation. It was the peaceful planets that the beings of those planets came together and decided, we can't have this. There's so many refugees, migrants going on in the galaxy at this point in time. And then you have the super consciousness, which, again, these beings on the higher density, when you are talking beings that are 5th, 6th, and higher densities, they are much more heading along that pathway to true creatorhood in a benevolent way that they can tap into the super consciousness. And I'll let Cindy comment on all this because she's wonderful and I'm just going on.
But he's doing so good. He's doing great. Just going on and on, giving people, filling in the blanks. We have to do that every so often. With the Galactic Federation, these beings, they come to you from somewhere. I didn't just have a being walk up to me and openly state their name and who they are, where they're from, and I didn't have the experiences that I had just prior to from the CIA. That didn't happen from them. I can guarantee you. It's the craziest darn thing. But that's okay, because it's not for everybody. It's just not, maybe you're not part of that, maybe. But we look to the Galactic Fed as assistance in helping with human consciousness, the rising in consciousness, evolution. They do assist us in that a great deal. And they also help us swing the timelines if needed. Working down here on 3D is no easy task. So they are an entity that can see from a different point of view, a different perspective, that can channel information down to the 3D, that can give you a better understanding, a deeper understanding if you are looking. Not everyone is looking. Most people still, I think they're looking at the 3D, and that's okay. But we do a little bit different news. We look beyond the 3D because that's our jobs. We know that there's so much more beyond the 3D, and how can we not speak of it when we see it all over the place? And we know that it's there for other people. So that's really all I have to say about that.
And the reason why I was going on this is because, again, there's a lot of confusion on a lot of this subject. And one of our beloved family members, sent us a video. We have to recognize that everybody sees things through their own lens. And if on the other side, the Galactic Federation. There's members of the Galactic Federation that are talking to Cindy, and it comes through Cindy differently than it's going to come through a different channel. You could take 10 different channels. The message will come through. The words may switch a little bit. The emphasis on different syllables can switch a little bit and change a little bit. And so if you're listening to the same message coming through from, the Galactic Federation through either Cindy or one of any other 9 channels, you have 10 channels total, you're going to get the same basic message, but little different inflection points might come through, slight different wording could come through, and you might hear something that's a little bit different. So, and it's also clouded by, what do we want to hear? What do we want to hear? What are you looking for? So, I mean, if you've ever heard a speech or something being announced and, say it's school or whatever, and you're in some sort of club and you're barely listening to all the other announcements going on by, and then you hear something about your club that you're in. All of a sudden your ears perk up and you listen super close. And you listen to every little sound that comes out, and then you go back to kind of everything being a drone. This is why I think a lot of times you'll get people that will listen to the same material, and some, will say, okay, hey, tunnels are being blown up. They're going to be down in their ships, and they're going to save us, tomorrow. And then you'll get other people that say, well, it sounds like the same old stuff and nothing's really going to change, is it? Well, which is it? Are they saving us tomorrow, or is nothing going to change? Well, a lot of it depends on what you want to hear. Just because also, we listen to somebody that we feel is legit. And while the message that our beloved family member got was, it's right around the corner, we're talking about right around the corner that beings are talking that have lifespans that are hundreds of thousands of years old. Again, translating through to humans in the dark age, that their lifespan might be 70, 80 years old if they're lucky to escape the system's wrath. So what is right around the corner? That's again something that's, we have to be careful when we try to translate it. And you'll find time and time again that the greatest of prophets, per se, they either speak so vague that the translation can be so vast or generic, or if it is specific, you'll find that they were wrong. Now, Edgar Casey is one of the greatest prophets of a health nature. The thing that people don't realize, or a lot of people don't, unless you really are an Edgar Casey fan, is that he did so many readings on health that were extremely accurate, and he helped so many people. It was just incredible. That's where, his value really was in the majority. And it's the same thing in some ways with Cindy and I, as we have helped thousands of people. I might even think we're in the 10,000s of people with energy work and different ways of healing, as well as, health coaching, spiritual counseling, things along those lines. And, it's interesting that when you look to his prophecies, California and should be totally changed right now, and Japan in the ocean, and it didn't happen. So it doesn't mean it's still not going to happen in, say, another 100 years. Again, everything is so up in the air from a perspective of all these billions of points of consciousness ebbing and flowing, pulling and tugging at timelines. And then yet, it doesn't mean they're totally wrong. Edgar Casey was totally wrong. There's some things that he said that are looking pretty eerie now, but he had timed them more for the 70s or 80s, again, way off timeline-wise. But in the scheme of things, time is an illusion for our brain to sort things on this 3D level. So I guess what I want to get across is the fact that you may hear some things that conflict and contradict. And I do think, again, there are people that want us to just step right from the Dark Age into the Golden Age, I do think it's possible for one individual, not as a collective. I do think you can have groups shift and all of a sudden appear to leave a particular timeline. I mean, we've seen that. We've seen that with beings in the Four Corners area, where it looks like whole tribes just disappear. There are actually, when you start delving deep into it, you'll find that does seem to happen. Whole tribes, whole groups seem to just disappear. Now, it could be they went into inner Earth. It could be they're actually pulled off the Earth. They could have been exterminated. Or they could have shifted their consciousness like many of the Bigfoot beings that are no longer visible to us. But some of us see them the whole time still because of our ability to perceive. So I guess what I want to get across is it's really about many things, and it's about our perception. And again, are we seeing things half full, half empty? Are we the impatient little child that cannot wait 364 more days for Christmas again? It's got to be coming tomorrow again. Again, it depends on how we look at things. So the timeline that Cindy's been given is in our Earth years, which again are not always the same. And this is part of a big reveal too that I really do want to get more clarity on. But years are not always the same. And this gives us perhaps another reason why they've changed calendars in the past, because they're trying to hide the fact that the Earth is not always in its same position. The Earth is a being. She can move if she wants to.
Mm-hmm. She can, and she needs to move, just like sometimes we need to move to make ourselves more comfortable. I think we do lose that. Speaking of translation, we lose that thought when we're talking about other beings. We tend to think, well, we're the ones who move and shift around, but no, planets do too. They think, they breathe, they send out messages. They just communicate differently. That's all. And when you are translating for a different being from, say, the fifth density, fourth density, they're not looking at things through the same lens as you are. We're looking at things through a very short lifespan. So for them, 500-600 years might not be, a super long time. So when they say something is right around the corner, it could be years away to them. But you're translating through a 3D aspect at a 3D person. So those things can change. And also you have to be really careful when you're channeling different beings, because they're not channeling stuff through the idea that there is death. They're on a different dimension. So there is no death. All these things need to be taken into account, and that's why it's important for the belief system to be laid to rest as much as possible when you're going to be channeling, so you can get that information freely. But the information that I have gotten was it's going to be, a process, 11 to 15 year process of changing over of the control mechanism. And is it going to change completely? No, it's still not going to change completely, but it's going to be different because our minds are different, and that has to be adjusted to. We understand more, we see more, we know more, we're open to more. Maybe you were just a closed off person a year ago, but this year you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much more out there. So this information is for you because you're hungry, you're thirsty, you feel like you need to get caught up, and that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, I want to just, congratulate our flat earthers for knowing that there's something wrong with this story, because there is something wrong with this story. At the same time, yes, the Earth is a sealed, contained unit, but it's not inescapable, as we've said. Just look to as above, so below. It's a semi-permeable membrane, and we can leave, and we can come back in. And in fact, beings do this all the time. Now, we also say this because we've had direct experience of this. As we've shared with you guys, we've spent nights in the desert watching the beings come and go over on Nellis Air Force Base, Area 51, Area 6, all this. And Cindy can remote view and get the impression of who's in the ship. And she sees clearly, not humans, obviously. And interestingly enough, as many people are aware of, these things, they follow bloodlines. When I mean, there's certain people that are starseed light workers, and those people are here because they are in some ways working with the Galactic Federation. So what are they doing? They're trying to seed positive thoughts into the collective. They're trying to seed the concepts of what humans really are, because in effect we are all like very powerful wizards of a Merlin type of way. This is what we have in us. We're creators. The universe is a blank slate in so many ways that we have the ability to paint on it what we want to paint on it. And I do think, again, we can shift our own timeline much easier than most people realize. But when you're talking about starseeds, light workers, we're coming in to shift the paradigm of the planet. And we're here trying to help others understand. It's not that we have to be convinced about anything, because we simply know. As I've shared with you, my kids, they saw grays since they were little kids. They're like, there's a gray around the corner. This, they had nightmares. Cindy's kids too, so it's not just us, it's our kids. And it's not just that. I mean, it's my dad and Cindy's dad. And, both of them had encounters too. And so it goes through bloodlines, partially because we do incarnate in the same soul groups. So this video ended up being nothing about what I was intending. And there'll be other videos that are going to go in line with this to expound on this. The signs are everywhere. There's not any one thing we can point to. There's billions of pieces of evidence all around the planet, everywhere that you look. So it's really only a matter of time. The light is growing and the light is strengthening as we are on the ascending cycle, the ascension cycle. More and more things are going to be put out there, and our whole perspective of what the masses on Earth view reality as is going to completely shift. There's going to be old, outdated philosophies and religions that are just going to disappear in the blink of an eye. They're going to be gone, or they're going to morph into becoming something a little different, a little bit more than they were. As this is a time of great change. What is the Bronze Age all about? The Bronze Age is all about discovery, adventure. As some of the guides, as the being that's known as Adama, who in reality is a fifth density being that's been on Earth ever since Earth was recreated from the remnants of Tiamat. And physically, he is under Shasta, and we've had encounters when we were in that area. I would love to be there in the future. Again, the vibe was amazing in that type of area, in certain of these ley line areas, and what really are chakra points on the planet. The energy can be overwhelming. And they really do have an effect on your consciousness. So there are parts of the planet where you can go and visit and really have experiences like Cindy did, over that was actually in Utah, or the side you were in, right? Where you had that Monument Valley. Again, there are these points where your consciousness can be forever changed just being there. Now, you can go there astrally too. You can put yourself there anytime you want to, just simply shift into a different state of mind. And again, we'll go more and do more about that, and more about how to work with energy, as we're both Reiki master teachers, and I've studied, and Cindy has too, medical Qigong, polarity therapy, as well as pranic healing, and gosh, so many other different forms of consciousness healing, because as we're on the ascension cycle, it becomes more about the exploration of consciousness and the understanding that all this, everything that you know, is created by consciousness for consciousness's exploration. You are not a slave, you are not a tool, and you're not meant to be puppets. And this is what the Bronze Age is about. It's the awakening. And this is what Adama said was to him, the very most exciting thing was seeing humanity come out of the dream of the Dark Age.
Indeed.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.